Officer Nolan and Sergeant Harper stand in a ransacked liquor store. The owner explains that a masked man hit him, robbed the register, and murdered his wife. Among the stolen items is a roll of high-value scratch-off lottery tickets. One of those tickets holds a $250,000 prize. The investigation leads the officers to a strip club, where a dancer was tipped with one of the stolen tickets. The police obtain security footage from the club and use a facial recognition system to scan the crowd. The software identifies the suspect as Colt Henry. The search moves to Union Station. Henry is attempting to board a train to Sacramento to disappear. Nolan and Harper spot him in the crowded terminal. Sensing the trap, Henry panics. He lunges at a baby stroller and pulls a handgun. He points the weapon directly at the infant inside. The mother collapses in terror as the station erupts in chaos. Henry holds the gun to the child, demanding the officers step back and let him walk. Nolan keeps his weapon aimed. He delivers a cold fact. The lottery office flagged every serial number the hour they were stolen. The tickets are worthless. Henry realizes his windfall is a lie, and his last act will be the murder of a child for nothing. The pressure breaks his resolve. Henry lets go of the gun and raises his hands. The officers pin him to the floor. The mother retrieves her baby as Henry is led away. The hunt ends not with a payout, but with a life sentence. John Nolan stands in a bank when armed men burst through the doors. While other customers drop to the floor in terror, the 40-year-old construction worker remains still. He looks at the gunman and begins to speak. He uses a calm, steady voice to distract the robber, drawing on decades of life experience to prevent a massacre. The police arrive and secure the scene, but Nolan's life is permanently altered. He sells his construction business and enrolls in the Los Angeles Police Academy. On his first day, Sergeant Gray confronts him in front of the entire unit. Gray identifies Nolan as a walking midlife crisis and declares him a liability to the department. The sergeant promises to harass and humiliate Nolan until he quits, believing a middle-aged rookie will eventually get a younger officer killed. Nolan accepts the assignment and enters his patrol car. During a pursuit, he corners a suspect in a dead-end alley. The man brandishes a knife and threatens to kill a hostage. Nolan's training officer prepares to fire, but Nolan intervenes. He ignores the pressure from his superiors and speaks directly to the suspect's desperation. He uses psychological leverage to dismantle the man's resolve. The suspect drops the knife and surrenders to the ground. Nolan handcuffs the man without discharging his weapon. He stands up and looks at the officers who doubted him. By resolving the crisis with his mind rather than his gun, Nolan forces the department to acknowledge his capability. He remains on the force. Officer Nolan finds an infant trapped in a sealed car. The external temperature reaches 40 degrees Celsius. Inside the cabin, the air is suffocating. Nolan checks the door handles. They are locked. The child is motionless in the back seat. Nolan draws his tactical knife. He strikes the side window. The glass does not break. He strikes again. He wastes 5 seconds repositioning his grip. On the third attempt, the window shatters. He clears the glass, reaches inside, and pulls the infant into the air. The child breathes. The rescue ends, but the scrutiny begins. The training officer plays back the body cam footage on a monitor. There is no congratulations. The instructor pauses the video at the moment. Nolan hesitates. He counts the seconds out loud. He points out the inefficient striking angle and the fumbled grip on the knife. The instructor delivers a cold assessment. In a heat stroke scenario, seconds are the only currency that matters. Nolan saved the child today, but his lack of precision could have resulted in a fatality. The training officer demands a total elimination of panic. To the veteran, a successful rescue with technical flaws is simply a lucky mistake. Nolan watches his own frantic movements on the screen and realizes the margin for error is zero. In this job, being fast enough is not the same as being professional. The footage remains as a permanent record of his near-fatal delay. Nolan stands in silence as the reality of his profession settles in. Success does not excuse incompetence. Officers Lopez and West stand at the bedside of Kevin Scott. The old man looks frail, his voice trembling as he blames his memory gaps on dementia. He claims he was a victim of a random street attack. To the officers, he is just another vulnerable patient. This perception shifts instantly when Lopez runs Scott's profile through the National DNA Database. The system returns a series of hits. Scott's genetic signature matches biological evidence from over a dozen unsolved homicides spanning 3 decades. The man in the bed is not a victim. He is a prolific serial killer who has successfully hidden in plain sight for 30 years. Lopez sends an urgent text to West warning him that their suspect is a predator. West reads the message and looks through the hospital room window. Scott sits perfectly still, watching him. When West enters to secure the room, the frail facade vanishes. Scott moves with explosive force, slamming West against the wall and disarming him. He pulls the officer's service weapon from its holster and fires. The quiet hospital corridor turns into a combat zone. Scott sprints through the halls in his green scrubs, using the gun to clear a path. Lopez pursues him into a concrete stairwell. She closes the distance, tackling him as he tries to descend. They struggle on the landing, Scott clawing at her face. Lopez gains leverage, slamming him into the floor and wrenching his arms behind his back. The handcuffs lock. The 30-year hunt ends in a sterile stairwell. Officer Tim Bradford faces his wife Isabel at a rehab center. She is sober, but the damage remains. They walk through the garden, attempting to reconcile a marriage destroyed by her heroin addiction. Isabel begins her required step of making amends. She lists the betrayals. She admits to the lies, the theft, and the physical degradation she endured while living on the streets. Tim listens to the inventory of her crimes against their life. He sees the shame in her eyes and reaches a cold conclusion. He realizes that he has become a trigger for her trauma. As long as he is in the room, Isabel is reminded of the needle and the person she became to get it. He is the living evidence of her rock bottom. On Valentine's Day, Tim chooses to end the marriage. He tells her that she can never truly heal while tied to the man she hurt the most. He explains that for her to have a future, he must become part of her past. It is not an act of anger, but a calculated sacrifice. He severs the bond to give her a chance at a clean slate. They share one final embrace under the afternoon sun. Tim turns and walks toward his car, leaving the relationship behind. He does not look back. Isabel is left alone with her sobriety, finally free from the shadow of the man who refused to let her stay broken. Captain Anderson is processing paperwork at the station when an ex-convict approaches the desk. He is agitated, asking about the prison sentence for murder. Anderson senses the shift in his demeanor and tries to de-escalate, but the man has already made his choice. He draws a Glock handgun and grabs a female bystander, pulling her into a chokehold. He shouts that he cannot survive on the outside and is willing to kill to return to a cell forever. Uniformed officers converge on the lobby, weapons drawn and aimed. The tension is absolute. Anderson remains composed, stepping into the gunman's line of sight. She identifies the weapon and recognizes the man's lack of technical knowledge. She asks if he has ever used a gun before, then delivers a cold, factual lie. You've got your safety on. The gunman's eyes drop to the weapon. His thumb fumbles for a switch that does not exist on a Glock. In that fraction of a second, Anderson lunges. She strikes with a textbook close-quarters maneuver, slamming the man to the ground before he can pull the trigger. Officers swarm the suspect, pinning him to the floor and stripping the firearm from his grip. After the suspect is cuffed, an officer examines the Glock. She realizes the weapon has no external safety. Anderson intentionally charged a live weapon, betting the entire situation on a psychological bluff. The hostage is unharmed. Anderson stands up, adjusts her duty belt, and walks back to her desk. Nolan pushes his patrol car to the limit in a high-speed pursuit through the Hollywood Hills. He executes a pit maneuver against a red Jeep, but the suspect regains control and continues the flight. The chase ends abruptly at a steep cliff. A woman in a wedding dress climbs out of the vehicle and scales a maintenance ladder on the Hollywood sign. She stands on the edge, prepared to jump. She tells the officers her life is over. Her fiancé cheated, she lost her job, and she is bankrupt. Nolan ignores standard negotiation tactics and climbs the ladder to meet her. He does not offer platitudes. Instead, he details his own collapse in Pennsylvania. He describes his construction company going under, the suffocating debt, and the end of his marriage. He admits he once walked into a liquor store to buy the largest bottle of alcohol he could find, but bought a lottery ticket instead. Nolan pulls a ticket from his pocket and tells her the jackpot is $50 million. He offers it to her, stating she now has a reason to live until the drawing on Thursday. The woman hesitates, then reaches for the paper. As she slips, Nolan grabs her arm, anchoring her to the structure. The immediate threat of death is replaced by the weight of a single piece of paper. He hauls her back to safety, ending the standoff not with force, but with the calculated gamble of a man who has already lost everything. Officer West stands before his superiors to answer for a critical failure. During a recent shootout, his partner emptied 2 magazines, while West never pulled the trigger. He froze under fire. His training officer Lopez makes the stakes clear. He is a liability who shouldn't be wearing the badge. To test his resolve, she forces him into the highest risk calls of the shift. They respond to a disturbance at a church. Inside, a massive man has thrown a priest through a stained glass window. The suspect is naked, sweating, and screaming in a psychotic rage. He is high on PCP. West recognizes the signs of a dissociative anesthetic. The drug has spiked the suspect's body temperature and neutralized his ability to feel pain. A standard physical confrontation will fail. Shooting him will only escalate the violence. Lopez steps back, forcing West to take the lead. West does not reach for his firearm. He speaks with clinical precision, addressing the suspect's internal heat and dehydration. He offers a trade, cool water in exchange for cooperation. He refers to the handcuffs as bracelets to bypass the suspect's defensive triggers. The giant, blinded by the drug, focuses on West's calm instructions. As the man leans in for the promised relief, West snaps the metal cuffs onto his wrists. The situation ends without a single shot fired. West has moved from tactical paralysis to total control. He has proven that knowledge of the enemy is as lethal as a bullet. Officer Nolan stands by a hospital bed, listening to a traumatized victim. She describes a voice that repeated the word wait day and night. While others dismiss this as a hallucination, Nolan identifies it as a specific audio cue. He returns to his patrol car and accesses the MDT to search the city database for accessible pedestrian signals. These devices emit voice commands for the visually impaired. He finds only one such signal within the search grid, located directly across from from a school for the blind. Nolan and his partner arrive at the coordinates and identify the house. They breach the property and find the suspect, who is working as a security guard. In the basement, they discover the second victim, Emma, chained to a wall in a soundproofed cell. The suspect realizes he is cornered, opens fire, and flees toward a nearby cemetery. Nolan pursues the man on foot through the rows of headstones. During the struggle, Nolan's body cam is disabled, leaving no digital record of the ensuing violence. The suspect is armed and desperate, forcing Nolan into a raw, physical brawl on the ground. Nolan takes several hits but manages to disarm the man and secure the handcuffs. Detectives arrive to find the serial kidnapper neutralized. Nolan has solved the case by extracting a geographical coordinate from a victim's blurred memory. He proves that a single auditory detail was the only evidence needed to locate the killer's stronghold. Nestor escapes from custody, but he does not flee the city. He goes to his daughter's quinceañera. Officers Lopez and Nolan arrive at the ballroom and find him on the dance floor. Nestor is holding his daughter, dancing to the final song of her 15th birthday. Lopez and Cho orders Nolan to wait. They stand at the perimeter, allowing the music to finish. When the dance ends, the police move in. The arrest is silent and professional. Nestor is led away without a scene. In the interrogation room, Nestor acknowledges the dignity shown to his family. He offers a lead in exchange for the respect he received. He reveals a massive drug transaction scheduled for that afternoon at Stoneson Home Supply. 80 kilograms of narcotics are moving in broad daylight. The LAPD tactical team mobilizes immediately. They utilize the Rook Book to establish high ground and tactical blocking positions. They seal every exit of the Home Supply parking lot. The smugglers arrive in a pickup truck, expecting the retail chaos to provide cover. They are mistaken. The police have already turned the parking lot into a kill zone. The suspects realize they are trapped and open fire. Officers use their cruisers as shields, following the manual's exact tactical placement to minimize crossfire. A high-speed pursuit breaks out within the confined lot, but the perimeter holds. The police neutralize the shooters and seize the shipment. By following the protocol and respecting the man, the officers dismantle a transnational smuggling ring in a single afternoon. Officer Nolan and Sergeant Harper confront a local forger, forcing him to become a confidential informant. He reveals a high-stakes deal at Whiteman Airport involving fake passports and licenses for the Aquino cartel. The officers stake out Hangar 31 and intercept a black SUV during the exchange. They discover the cargo is a group of women attempting to escape the cartel's abuse. Among them is Elena, the wife of the cartel leader, El Leon. She carries a phone that her husband is using to track her precise location. The situation escalates as two more black SUVs roar into the hangar, boxing the two officers in. 8 armed men step out, outnumbering the police 4-1. The lead henchman, describing himself as an attack dog, demands the women return to the vehicles. He mocks the officers, confident in his superior firepower. Nolan does not lower his weapon. He maintains eye contact with the gunman and delivers a cold, factual statement. Backup is already converging on the airfield. He gives the cartel exactly 20 seconds to drive away empty-handed before they are swarmed by a tactical unit. The sound of distant sirens begins to echo against the hangar walls. Realizing the window for escape is closing, the gunmen retreat and speed away. A fleet of patrol cars arrives seconds later, securing the perimeter. The women collapse in relief, their lives saved by a calculated bluff and a refusal to flinch under pressure. Sergeant Gray issues a high-stakes directive to his rookie officers: recruit a high-value confidential informant to prove their investigative worth. Jackson West identifies Hickey, a man with deep criminal connections, as his primary target. The mission immediately collides with federal interests. FBI Special Agent Wyckoff arrives at the precinct to shut the operation down. He publicly insults West, labeling him a meddling rookie, and asserts that Hickey is exclusive federal property. Wyckoff delivers an ultimatum: step back or face the consequences of interfering with a federal investigation. West ignores the threat. He returns to the station and utilizes the police database to scrutinize Hickey's history. The system reveals a hidden criminal enterprise. West discovers that Hickey is leveraging his status as an FBI informant to run an extortion racket against local businesses. He pulls the transaction records and victim statements, building a solid case for felony extortion. West confronts Hickey on a golf course. He does not ask for cooperation. He dictates the terms. West presents the evidence and explains that federal protection does not cover independent criminal acts. Faced with a choice between a state prison sentence and switching sides, Hickey abandons the FBI. He agrees to work for West. Back at the station, a defeated Wyckoff is forced to watch as his asset is taken. Sergeant Gray observes West's tactical maneuver. He recognizes the rookie's ability to find and exploit a legal blind spot. As a reward for his success, West is authorized to switch to the short-sleeved uniform, marking his transition from a trainee to a capable officer. Officer Nolan and Bishop pursue a suspect into a dimly lit office building. They burst through a door, only to hear the heavy thud of a deadbolt locking behind them. They are trapped. There is no cellular signal inside the reinforced walls. The suspect stops running and smirks. He informs the officers they have entered an elite escape room. He mocks their predicament, stating he is content to wait until the business opens in the morning to delay his trip to jail. Nolan ignores the taunts and focuses on a piece of aged parchment on a wooden table. He identifies a Caesar shift cipher. While Bishop maintains guard, Nolan manually decodes the text. The solution triggers a mechanism, pulling back a curtain to reveal a glowing map of ancient landmarks. The team moves to the next station, where a skeleton hangs in cobwebs. A Latin inscription is pinned to its chest. The suspect translates the text regarding the Towers of Kings. Nolan immediately pivots to a giant chessboard and then back to the skeleton. He notices a physical irregularity. The ribcage is missing a bone. He reaches into the skeletal frame and retrieves a hidden iron key. He inserts the key into a heavy trunk, and a secret door grinds open. The officers exit the room and immediately transition back to duty. They slam the suspect against the wall and click the handcuffs shut. The high-stakes game ends with a standard arrest. Isabel enters the motel room. She carries a hidden transmitter, feeding live audio to a surveillance van nearby. The deal is simple, but Isabel deviates from the plan. She asks the dealer for an additional kilo, attempting to escalate the buy and expose a larger supply chain. In the van, the team monitors the exchange in real time. Without warning, the audio feed cuts to static. The visual monitors flatline. The signal is gone. Inside the van, the silence creates immediate friction. Tim, Isabel's ex-husband, recognizes the sudden loss of contact as a critical threat. The commanding officer hesitates, labeling the blackout a technical glitch and ordering the team to maintain their perimeter. Tim refuses to wait for confirmation. He breaks protocol, declaring that the dealer has compromised the informant. He abandons his post and moves toward the building. The tactical unit breaches the motel. They kick in the door to room 3, weapons raised, expecting a confrontation. They find nothing. The room is still. A signal jammer sits on the floor, the device responsible for the blackout. The dealer is gone, and Isabel has vanished with him. They discover the back door standing open, leading to an empty alleyway. The surveillance operation has collapsed into a kidnapping. Tim stands in the center of the vacant room, looking at the equipment left behind. The informant is no longer on the wire. She is in the hands of the traffickers. An arrogant lawyer stands on a busy street corner, lecturing 2 police officers. He questions their competence and mocks their authority. The lecture ends abruptly. A thief lunges forward, rips a leather briefcase from the lawyer's hand, and disappears into the crowd. The lawyer stands frozen, his pride stripped away in seconds. He quickly pulls out his smartphone. He reveals a hidden GPS locator installed inside the stolen bag. The screen shows a pulsing red dot moving through the city grid in real time. He hands the phone to the officers. The technology provides a direct path to the suspect's exact coordinates. The officers track the signal to a nearby office complex. They move with calculated speed through the corridors. They spot a man in a purple hoodie rummaging through the briefcase on a patch of grass. The suspect sees the uniforms and bolts. The officers sprint across the courtyard, closing the distance. Officer Lopez reaches the suspect first. She tackles the thief from behind, driving him into the dirt. She pins his arms and clicks the handcuffs into place. The briefcase is recovered, its contents intact. The lawyer arrives, breathless. He looks at the thief on the ground and then at the officer. Instead of gratitude, he offers a critique. He accuses the officer of using excessive force and violating the suspect's civil rights. Officer Lopez stands up and looks him in the eye. She recites the specific legal statute regarding reasonable force during a felony arrest. She breaks down the exact criteria for due process and the necessity of the physical takedown. The lawyer stares at her, unable to find a legal loophole. He takes his bag and walks away in silence. The police have the final word. Officers Nolan and Gray are on a routine patrol when a gas main erupts in a residential neighborhood. Asphalt shatters and a pillar of white vapor shoots into the air. The street is saturated with gas. Gray, the veteran sergeant who has spent weeks questioning Nolan's capability, immediately calls for an evacuation. They have no breathing apparatus, yet the surrounding houses are rapidly filling with lethal fumes. Gray spots a resident in danger and enters a nearby home to clear it. Inside, the gas concentration is at a fatal level. Within seconds, Gray loses consciousness and collapses. Outside, Nolan realizes his superior is down. He knows the protocol. Entering without a mask is a suicide mission. Nolan grabs a cloth, douses it with bottled water, and ties it over his mouth. He ignores the evacuation orders and runs into the kill zone. The house is a gray haze of toxic vapor. Nolan finds Gray face down on the floor. The sergeant is a large man, his dead weight far exceeding Nolan's strength. Nolan's own lungs begin to burn, and his vision blurs. He grips Gray by the tactical vest and heaves. He drags the unconscious officer across the floor, through the doorway, and down the front steps. Nolan collapses on the lawn, gasping for oxygen as paramedics rush to the sergeant. Gray regains consciousness, realizing he is alive only because the rookie he tried to dismiss refused to leave him behind. The professional wall between them shatters. In the debris of the explosion, the veteran acknowledges the man who just saved his life. Nolan and Bishop spot a running vehicle behind a closed dispensary. They confirm a robbery is in progress and request immediate backup via the MDT. Dispatch denies the request. The vice president's motorcade has paralyzed the city streets due to a last-minute stop for a sandwich. With no help coming, the 2 officers move into the alley alone. They intercept the getaway driver, but the situation escalates when armed robbers exit the building. A heavy exchange of gunfire begins. One suspect is shot in the neck and begins to bleed out on the pavement. Nearby, officers Lopez and West hear the distress call. They are currently assigned to a security detail under the Secret Service. Agent Danvers orders orders them to remain at their post, prioritizing the vice president's security over the lives of fellow officers. Lopez and West ignore the command and abandon their position. They drive straight into the crossfire. While Lopez provides cover fire, West drags the wounded suspect into the patrol car. During the chaos, a bullet strikes Nolan directly in the chest. He stays upright. A heavy tactical vest he put on earlier for an unrelated task stops the round. The officers deploy gas into the dispensary, forcing the remaining gunmen into the open. The suspects are neutralized and handcuffed. Later, the Secret Service demands accountability for the breach of protocol. Sergeant Gray refuses to punish his team. He states his officers chose to save lives, while the feds guarded an empty hallway. The suspects remain in custody. Officer Lopez stands amidst a volatile protest in Los Angeles. A child nearby suddenly stops breathing, his face turning blue as he chokes on a foreign object. Lopez intervenes immediately, clearing his airway and saving his life. There is no time for gratitude. Her unit is assigned to clear visual threats along the upcoming vice presidential motorcade route. This involves dismantling homeless camps and inspecting apartments that overlook the path. Lopez and rookie officer Jackson West enter a rundown residential building. They focus on a specific unit and pull up the tenant's history using the CPIC database. The background check reveals a troubling pattern. They knock on the door, but no one answers. Instead, they hear a low, desperate moaning coming from inside. Lopez draws her weapon and orders a breach. Jackson kicks the door off its hinges. Inside, they find a nightmare. An elderly woman sits in a wheelchair, her thin wrists bound to the frame with coarse rope. She is confused, struggling with advanced dementia, and left alone in the dark. When the son returns, he offers a flat explanation. He claims he tied her up like an animal for her own safety because he could not afford a caregiver. He treats her imprisonment as a logistical necessity. Jackson West does not hesitate. He slams the man against the wall, informs him of his rights, and arrests him for felony elder abuse. The son is hauled away, leaving the mother behind in a room that had become her cage. Rookie officer Lucy Chen witnesses a man kicking his dog behind a chain link fence. The man is aggressive and dismissive. Chen loses her professional composure and issues a direct threat. If she sees him hurt the animal again, she will make him her personal project. This is a clear violation of police protocol. The man immediately retaliates by filing a formal complaint for abuse of power with Internal Affairs. At the station, the atmosphere is suffocating. Sergeant Gray informs Chen that a rookie threatening a civilian is a fireable offense. Her training officer, Bradford, remains cold, watching her career teeter on the edge of a permanent shutdown. The man wants her badge, and the department's bureaucracy is ready to give it to him. Chen returns to the man's property under the cover of night. She ignores the risk of a second complaint and watches from the street. She notices the dog barking incessantly at a locked garage. Through her binoculars, she spots a smear of fresh blood on the garage door. She does not wait for a warrant. She breaches the fence and confronts the owner as he tries to block her path. Chen forces open the garage door. Inside, a woman lies on the garden shears buried in her neck. The dog owner is a murderer caught in the act. Chen tackles the suspect to the ground, slamming his face into the dirt as she clicks the handcuffs into place. The Internal Affairs investigation dies the moment the victim is found. Chen gambled her career on a hunch and walked away with a killer in custody. Rookie officer John Nolan stands in his house, processing the fact that he just killed a suspect named Ruskin. Jessica, a veteran federal agent, offers him a cold reality check. She tells him that the longer he stays on the job, the less these deaths will affect him. She calls it human nature to grow numb as a form of self-preservation. Nolan listens, but the silence between them carries the weight of his first kill. Nolan reflects on his first 6 months as the oldest rookie in the department. He watched his captain die. He has fought for his life more times than he can count. The department expects him to build a shell, to become a machine that processes trauma without internalizing it. Jessica expects him to adapt to the coldness of the badge. Nolan rejects the advice. He tells Jessica that he refuses to go numb because that is not who he is. He acknowledges that the job demands a high price, but he is unwilling to pay with his humanity. He makes a calculated choice. If he is going to continue as a police officer, he will force himself to feel every second of the fear and the guilt. He chooses the burden of constant awareness over the safety of professional apathy. This admission changes the dynamic. Jessica sees a man who refuses to let a violent system dictate his character. His vulnerability creates a raw, honest connection that moves beyond professional masks. They establish a deeper bond, grounded in Nolan's refusal to become a cold-blooded survivor. He remains a man who feels everything, regardless of the cost to his psyche. Officers enter 819 Rivera and find a woman dead on the living room floor. She has been stabbed over a dozen times. They discover 10-year-old Malcolm hiding in a cabinet, clutching a small dog. A check through the NCIC database shows a history of domestic disputes between the victim and her boyfriend, Carson Gomez. Investigators immediately label Carson as the primary suspect and treat Malcolm as a traumatized witness. At the precinct, Malcolm sits in an interrogation room with a lawyer and a social worker. He describes a fight over a jar of peanut butter. His mother yelled at him and canceled his scheduled Xbox time with Carson. Malcolm claims Carson left the house while his mother was still alive. The detective shows him a photo of a blood-stained kitchen knife. Malcolm identifies the weapon. He admits he took it from the kitchen and followed his mother into the other room. He tells the detectives that he started crying and his mother laughed at him. The boy describes the attack with flat precision. He stabbed her in the back first. When she turned to face him, he stabbed her in the chest. He tells the room he simply could not stop. He continued the assault until she was dead, then hid in the cabinet to wait for the police. The lawyer, Wesley, realizes the confession is complete and ends the session. Malcolm remains calm, his face showing no remorse. The victim's son is the killer. Lucy Chen sits at a dim bar, meeting Caleb for the first time. He offers a drink and a smile that appears genuine. They exchange numbers, and a relationship begins to form under the glow of neon lights. Meanwhile, at the police precinct, detectives labor over a complex substitution cipher used by the imprisoned serial killer, Rosalind Dyer. They discover she is using book page numbers to map letters, directing a hidden accomplice to commit new murders from behind bars. The investigation hits a breakthrough. The digital trail of the disciple leads directly to Caleb. The realization comes too late. Lucy is already standing in a quiet, dark parking lot with him after their latest date. Caleb hands her a bottle. She takes a sip, unaware that the liquid is laced with a powerful sedative. Within seconds, the world begins to tilt. Her motor skills fail, and she stumbles against the side of a car. Her phone vibrates in her pocket with urgent, missed calls from her precinct, but her muscles refuse to move. Caleb's expression shifts from warmth to a cold, predatory blankness. He catches her before she hits the pavement, his grip tightening. As her vision fades, he leans in close to her ear. He drops the act entirely. He confirms he is the one Rosalind chose to carry out her instructions. He tells her he is the disciple responsible for the cleaning. Lucy's eyes roll back as he hauls her limp body into the back of his vehicle, a hunter securing his kill.